Welcome back to Pop Collectibles, the show exploring great collections from film, TV and music memorabilia. And if you've got anything pop culture that you'd like to show off, be that anything from Archie comics to tin toys, Marilyn Monroe to Betty Boop, or Pokemon to the Beatles, drop us a line at Pop Collectibles, PO Box 4, Kenthurst, New South Wales 2156, or on the internet at popcollectibles@yahoo.com. Now let's wind back to the era of steam and locomotives.
We're here with New South Wales train historian and railway models collector Neil of Sydney. Could you give us a brief overview of your collection?
Well, it follows the history of the New South Wales railways. It starts in 1855 when the railways commenced and goes through to the present day. We have models of every class of locomotives, and in some time there are variants of that, together with an appropriate train of either passenger cars or goods vehicles to go behind the relevant locomotive.
Your collection spans over how many years, Neil?
Well, it originally started in 1963 when the first model of a New South Wales locomotive was commercially built. Over the intervening period of time there have been many commercial models made available. I've been able to either purchase those or adapt them, and also as I became financially able I was able to replace and have built for me some of the intervening models.
How many items are there in your collection, Neil?
Well, at the present moment I have some on display at the Powerhouse Museum where there are 130 items. Here I have approximately 600 for the New South Wales Government Railways.
How have you acquired them?
I have them commissioned. That there are people who are quite happy to build models for me, and over a period of time I have had specific models built for me. And without their help I wouldn't have been able to achieve what I have today.
How does your family fit into the picture?
Well, I have 2 girls and a boy. This is made up for my grandson. Now, he and I are 2 little boys and we have a lot of fun together. I have my collection, he has his, so he comes round here and we boys play trains. This is a catalogue of all the models in the locomotive collection. What it means is that I have a photograph of the real McCoy, there is a plan and there's a photograph of the model. Many of the locomotives are constructed from kits which use etched brass sheets. This is a chemical process similar to that for making circuit boards for computers. Here we have a completed model which is now due to be put into the paint factory for completion.
Neil, if you don't mind me saying so, it's more of a New South Wales archive than just a model railway collection. What do you intend to do with it in the future?
Well, for a couple of years I've been trying to find a permanent home. The idea being is to preserve not only the collection but all the artefacts that go with it.
How do people get involved in the hobby?
Well, I'd suggest there's one of 2 ways. The simplest way is to go to a local hobby shop and they can see what products are readily available on the market. Or alternatively, there's a magazine called the Australian Model Railway Magazine, and in the December issue it lists the model railway clubs within Australia.
What sort of fun has your collection brought you?
Well, there's 2 types of fun. One is to see the faces on the people once they see it. We try and achieve what's called the wow factor. And the other one is being able to share it with everybody, and that is the true enjoyment. It's one thing to own it, but it's an entirely different thing to be able to share the hobby with others. There's just one thing I'd like you to remember, please. I'm not mad, I'm loco.
Did you know that assorted characters bring in over $1.3 billion annually for the Winnie the Pooh company? Well, Pooh's clout is nothing to be sniffed at. Collectors hoard everything, especially from some of the major franchises, like the ones you see listed on the scroll of fame behind me, and their values are skyrocketing. And finally, we've found a Sydney collector who's turned his collecting hobby into a props making business.
Everybody loves a good movie, and we're here with the props maker of Sydney, Gary Armstrong. What are props?
Props are an item that actors would need to handle. It's a general term which is also known as model maker, which is the same sort of thing in the film industry. That can cover so many different areas, not just the actual like a ray gun or something in a film, but sometimes a vehicle can be referred to as a prop. So it's a very broad term.
How do you go about making them?
The props take a number of different techniques and skills. You have to be very versatile in using techniques like being a carpenter, an electrician, a sculptor. It takes a lot of different artisan skills to be able to do these sort of items. Like this camera, I was on a commercial where they required 50 professional photographer cameras, and they could not rent enough in Australia, so they got me to actually recreate them.
What films have you worked on?
The biggest one to date would be The Red Planet, starring Val Kilmer. My favourite show to date has been the Farscape series.
And what sort of props did you help to construct?
The Prowler cockpit, I helped to dress a number of instrument consoles, freezing tubes. The list is endless.
Do you get to keep any of the props?
Policy generally is at the end of a shoot, they throw the items out.
What's your most cherished piece?
That is a difficult question to answer because each time I'm making something, I get rather attached to it at the time. And sometimes I'm even reluctant to hand it over to the studio. This is a replica of the lightsaber used by Darth Vader in the original films. It's actually signed by the actor who played the role of Darth Vader, Dave Prowse. This is an R5-D4 robot from the Star Wars movies. It was made using leftover components that I had from a job doing R2-D2s.
If any aspiring filmmakers would like to contact you, maybe to make their props, how would they find you?
I, like a lot of my colleagues, are listed in the production book, which is on the internet.
Thanks for being here. We've really enjoyed your company. And join us next time as we take a half-hour journey around Weta Collectibles in New Zealand. The multi-Academy award-winning filmmakers of The Lord of the Rings, The Chronicles of Narnia and King Kong. Should be loads of fun. So make sure you join us next week, and don't forget, if it's pop culture, we want to see it on Pop Collectibles. Bye for now.